Casual Magic has been sponsored by Quiver, maker of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine deck holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their website for 10% off your order. We're also sponsored by Architect, the premier site for hosting your decks on the internet. I love them and they love me, and it seems like a good reason for you to use them. This episode is also brought to you by Monopool, a fast-growing marketplace for Magic the Gathering that makes buying and selling cards easy. Their optimizer helps you get the best value when buying cards, and their team is focused on making it a great experience for buyers and sellers alike. You can also support Casual Magic directly by going to our Patreon at patreon.com/ShivamB. And now, on with the show. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic together. My name is Shivam, Bhatt, and Casual Magic is brought to you by Monopool, Quiver, and Architect, as well as my patrons at patreon.com/ShivamB. And today, I'm actually really excited to have one of the bosses of face-to-face games, the Canadian tournament and megastore, and I don't know, I've known about you guys for years because there used to be a big Pro Tour team called Team Face to Face, and I remember during was it Pro Tour Avison Restored, the one that had the Miracles deck that had Alexander Hayne came out and won, and he was on Team Face to Face. That was the first time I'd ever heard of you guys. But yeah, dude, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm real stoked to. Did I mention your name is Kelly Ackerman? I don't think so. I think I just said where you were from. But yeah, dude, thank you so much for joining me. I'm super excited to talk to you because you guys are also running the new generation of tournaments up for Magic in Canada. And I'm just real curious because I know the show's called Casual Magic and most of my listeners are casual fans, but I am an old school gamer and I love tournament Magic. So I'm super excited to see it coming back at least trying to, right?
Yeah, and the beauty of the way we do large Magic the Gathering tournaments now is there's really something for everybody at every single show, right? Yes. And so, even if you're not the competitive gamer who's excited about trying to get on the Pro Tour or what have you, there's always something on the face-to-face tour for all kinds of players. I got kind of roasted by the competitive community a couple of weeks back when I referred to the regional championship as a giant command fest with a regional championship attached to it.
Okay, I do need you to lower your microphone, though.
Okay, perfect. I'll bring it down a bit.
Yeah. The beginning of the show is always about adjusting sounds. It's fine. But the thing is, it's funny because I remember the moment that transitioned from because I remember I used to go to GPs in let's say the mid 2000, 2010, 12, 15, whatever. And it would be all tournament and then two rows in the back for random casuals who are just there, don't know what to do.
Drafts.
Yeah, exactly. And then you kind of get moved around by the judges. And, the side groups get bigger and bigger. And then we get a little command zone and then we get a bigger command zone. And then we go to GP Vegas and it's the command zone is bigger than the literal modern the modern what the hell Grand Prix that was happening at the same time and the limited Grand Prix together. The command zone is bigger now. It's subsumed the whole goddamn thing. Yeah.
So I mean, absolutely, and we've seen just I don't need to tell your audience, but we've seen Casual Commander just take off in terms of the popularity. Just having that sort of universal handshake for Magic has really helped, make the game more approachable for people who otherwise didn't know how to get started making a friend in the Magic community and weren't that excited about the competitive side of things. Now we've got Commander that's sort of the glue that brings people together. So I'm really thankful for it for those reasons.
Yeah,
but I love the idea of giving a bridge for those people who've maybe joined the game in the last 4 or 5 years to learn about the competitive side of the game.
Yes.
Maybe they're getting their stripes. They're doing well in their local play group. They're kicking butt at pre-release and they're curious about what comes next. And that's the beauty of the new Spotlight Series program Wizards is running, as well as your local stores running regional championship qualifiers and things like that.
Because I think that because there's a lot of people who play Magic who are competitive by nature, who want to win. I'm not one of them, but I know a lot of them. And for the past, let's say 5-10 years, the biggest entry point has been Commander. And these guys are coming to Commander, which is like board game night. We chill, we learn to play, and they're getting more cutthroat, more competitive. And I'm like, this is not the game that you're looking for. There is a whole competitive scene that you could be, but WotC bobbled it for a while, and pandemic hurt it and everything. And so the idea that like you guys in Star City are coming back with the Spotlight series, the fact that we're starting to see kind of like the old GPs coming back is a great way, I think, to lead these people to a place where they'll be much happier. Just like jamming games.
Absolutely. And whether your gateway.
Okay, hang on a second. I'm sorry. That sounded really rude, and I'm not trying to be dismissive. I apologize.
Oh, yeah, it won't be the worst thing anyone says. I would say, there's so much about however people come to the game. I find that where people start with Magic is not always, almost never where they end up, right? I started playing when I was a kid, just 60 card constructed, like we did. And
we didn't even call it constructed. We just called it Magic.
We just called it Magic. It was just, your deck. There was a phase where we just had all our cards in one pile, and that was the deck,
Sure
and then
was.
at some point it started tipping over because we kept getting, and we didn't understand that you needed to add more land.
When did you start?
I started playing Magic summer of 94.
Oh, so you and me started around the exact same time. Okay.
Oh, get out. Yeah, my first experience playing Magic was on my cousin's living room floor in Montreal, Quebec. And him and his sister had a revised starter with 2 packs of Fallen Empires shuffled in. And it might have been summer of 95, but that was what we were playing with. And we split the deck in half, and it was so frustrating because there was only 2 islands
on that side.
Right. There was only 2 islands in each deck. How am I going to cast Deep Spawn, which takes 3 blue? How am I going to cast it?
And then it makes you sacrifice your islands anyways. Oh God, dude. Yeah, I started with the dark, so I was a smidge before. But I mean, like, obviously Magic has changed a lot since we were 12 or 15. The question I wanted to ask you is because, like, one of the things you do is you're like, you run the full tournament, like you're the head of events there. So you run the whole shebang. And so I'm guessing you probably work with like Scott Larrabee and stuff, generally speaking, because he's also like, big head of events at WotC. And I have always been curious about what the logistics of running something like that are, because it seems insane. Like, I know how hard it is to run a tournament or like run an FNM and have like, 20 people, and you have to sort them and like figure out how to, who's paired up and what the rankings are and how to do that. Try and do that with 1,000 people seems absurd.
It is. And the logistics on the day are only one piece of the puzzle. We've got months of planning that go into these major shows where we're working with venues and table and chair rental companies.
Oh, yeah.
Planning staffing, especially here in Canada for the larger shows. We struggle to get enough sort of qualified judge staff to launch our events properly. And so we're often trying to get folks up from the States or over from Europe.
Oh, man.
Whether, for us, we've got just 2 languages, right? We've just got English and French that we need to make sure we have covered. But I was just chatting.
Oh, yeah. The laws in Canada require you to have like somebody who speaks French as a judge, right?
That's right. Yeah. If we're doing anything in the province of Quebec, we need to not just have everything in, available in French, but we need to start everything in French. We need to do the French announcements before the English and all that. So yeah, there's all kinds of struggles, but bringing the best people on board is always the recipe for success. So whether that's qualified head judges who've been doing this since you and I were kids, or whether that's, just making sure that I've worked, some of my team have been with me 10 years, which is kind of crazy to say, actually, now that I think about it. So just having people you work well with. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I've been running tournaments professionally since even before I joined face-to-face games. Um, I was hosting, the very first Pro Tour qualifiers before, or sorry, after they moved from the model of the PTO, the Premier Tournament Organizer. There was usually back in the mid 2000s, there was
Mm.
one organizer for each sort of province or region in the States. And that TO organized all the pre-releases and all the PTQs.
Oh yeah,
And
back when pre-releases were like an event you went to, and not just like every store has a pre-release.
yeah, I definitely love going to my local game store for pre-release, but there was something kind of magical about the big regional pre-releases where you'd go and it was like in the hotel ballroom and there's like hundreds of people there and just signing up for, we would launch new pods and there'd be on-demand drafts and stuff like that. Just crack just as many packs as you could. It was so fun.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely, I think the local store model makes way more sense, and I'm really happy they've switched to it. It's mostly just nostalgia
Well,
talking.
yeah,
uh,
but I mean, like we still get that same vibe when you go to a Magic Con or you go to like a Spotlight or whatever, one of these big events where people get together. But like having the pre-release, like I don't want to travel for a pre-release. I just want to go and
exactly.
pick up my packs and jam. But yeah, so what can you like kind of like, because the thing is it's like an event at this scale these days, like a modern event, like I know um like Star City did Vegas, you guys have done Montreal, Toronto, and other places. Um, to do one of these events, you've got vendors, you've got artists, you've got. It feels like a Magic Con in miniature, as opposed to like the GP where it was just tournament and like 4 vendors, and that's kind
Correct.
of the thing. Like, how how has it been transitioning from like the old tournament model to having to put on an event? Like a thing that's a destination almost.
Yeah, it's been great, honestly. Like I've really enjoyed that transition.
Mm,
So I took over for, I used to be in charge of our Toronto store. That was
mm,
my role when I joined the company and I got the Toronto store up and running. But as we were coming out of COVID, or as we went into COVID, we did a big company restructuring that we were planning on doing anyway. And it was like, well, I guess we're doing it now because everything's closed. So may as
mm,
well get our paperwork done. And so I transitioned to being in charge. I was the head of retail and events. And that was a
mm,
manageable portfolio when both of our retail stores were closed and all events were canceled. I
mm,
had that on lockdown. But as soon as things started opening up again, Wizards approached us and asked us to get involved with the regional championship qualifier program. Now, for those who aren't familiar, this is sort of the new organized play model that Wizards transitioned to in 2001, where instead of pretending that they knew best about every region, they sort of came to their understanding that there's a lot of local experience that understands their communities way better than we ever
mm,
could. And I think it was a really bold step for them to sort of decentralize the program and say, hey, build a program that makes sense for your region and we'll trust you. You've got a good
mm,
track record running events. At that point, we'd been running the face-to-face tour in one form or another for 9 years, launching these
mm.
big, huge 150, 200 person modern events all across the country or other aspects. We did the World Magic Cup qualifiers back in 2019. We'd done Grand Prix back in 2017, 2016. So we had a pretty
Mhm.
good portfolio, and Wizards reached out to us and various other, there's 11 regions globally. They got
Mm,
different organizers from different regions to build a program that made sense for their country.
mm,
With the goal of getting as many local game stores involved in the program as possible, having these qualifiers all across the country, whether it's at your local game store or at the banquet hall, a couple
mhm.
stores teaming up, hosting something big at a banquet hall or a convention center.
Sure.
They had, they said, world's your oyster. What do you want to build? And so I got to sort of play around and build this whole network of, hey, this is how our system's going to go. This is what points are going to look like. This is what qualifications are going to look like. And then we got to start hosting these big events. And right out of the gate, we saw the demand
Mm,
for more than just the regional championships. And that's great. That's awesome. So right out of the gate,
Anything
we
that gets
had
people to come, man, we're happy.
right. I mean, we started by just offering a commander package. You know, we created sort of a ticket system where when you signed up for the commander package, you got a bunch of vouchers to play some games. Every time you
Sure.
played a game, you earned some prizes, you know, simple stuff. And most of the prizing going just for participation rather than for
Yeah.
winning, just to keep it fun and friendly. But that evolved over the, first year or two. We saw like, hey, let's try doing sealed deck and see who comes out. And boom, tons of people that weren't signing up for Commander and weren't signing up for competitive modern. New players were coming in just to jam sealed, whether it was the current set or we still do it at every show now, Chaos sealed, where we just take whatever 6 old packs we have in our inventory.
Chaos
so fun.
Sealed is my absolute. So if I was going to pick my 2 favorite ways to play Magic, 1 is Chaos Drafting, and 2 is 3. 1 is full box Commander, 1 is Chaos Draft, and 1 is the Chaos Sealed events that have started showing up a lot, where you were given like a couple of packs and then you draft the like random Chaos Draft and then you build a deck out of it. It's so much fun.
What's your go-to? What's your go-to build in a Chaos Sealed?
Oh my God. All the spiders you can find. Any 2/4 with reach is basically the most indestructible thing in a stupid sealed Chaos Draft, because like you have to play like old Magic. You're like, the only thing that matters is the numbers on the card, because like all of the synergies, they don't exist because you're mixing Prophecy and Neon Dynasty and Theros. It's like, what the hell do these do? Who knows? But this guy blocks you, and that's all I need.
It's so funny you say that, because you're gonna have my number, because my go-to is blue-white flyers. I'm like, just build blue-white flyers, and you're gonna be able to shove me down with all your spiders.
Eat them all day long, buddy. Oh my God, dude! The last 3 decks I've built has started out as like garbage chaos piles at like cons and events, and so that's like, I love it because it forces you as a player to think outside of the patterns that you would normally use. Like the normal ways you build a deck. No, now you've got to deal with the fact that the only good legend you have is green and black, and you don't play green and black. So guess what? You got to figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think it's good for both the tournament organizers and for the players, because it gives the players a reason to come, and it gives the tournament organizers a way to dump all these packs that have been sitting around for 10,000 years. But as a fan of Chaos Draft, I'm always up for more of that.
It's a really great, my reason that I love it so much is it's the ultimate equalizer, right? I've always said that sealed or draft, you can't just roll up with $1,000 deck and clean up. You've got to make use of what's in the packs. But even with regular current set sealed, if I haven't drafted this set at all yet, and you've drafted 30 times on Arena already, you've definitely got an edge. You know the meta game, you know what the archetypes look like. Chaos Sealed, there ain't no archetypes. There's just cards.
Exactly. And like, that's the thing, the power level is capped. Like, they're never going to be, there's no like random soul rings you're going to run into. There's no like you might get lucky and find a mythic, but for the most part, there's like a hard ceiling for how good this is going to get, and it makes it just more fun. Like, do you remember Wizards put out a few years ago when they were doing all those master sets? They did Iconic Masters, which was like, it was the most mid-ranged cube of all time type of set. Like, you play it and it's really fun, but there's no like, it's not, people hated it because the set didn't have like all the flashy super reprints, but it was like the most perfect mid-level chaos experience of all time. It was just so flat power level.
So anyway. my go-to was a year before Iconic, or I guess 2 years before Iconic Masters, was Eternal Masters.
Yeah.
And that was that.
I have a box of that.
I loved. I loved Eternal Masters so much that I built a cube that's 1 of every rare mythic, 3 of every uncommon, and 5 of every common.
Hell yeah, dude! Because Eternal Masters had the elf archetype in there was so good, and like
there was a blue-red spells. There's all kinds of good stuff. Yes.
Oh my God, I loved Eternal Masters. That's a fun. The master sets were really, really cool. They were really well made. I should cover them on my other show sometime. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know if you know this. My other show is called Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic, where me and Ben Wheeler from Victoria, we sit and we take a set and we break it down for 2 to 4 hours, like every card and every archetype and all the cool things and everything. Like basically like a celebration of like every random card. Uh, we're like
Dude,
73 episodes in. It's awesome.
you gotta get to the Eternal Masters. Let me know
Oh
when you
yeah.
do that. I'll be your guest host on that.
Hell yeah. But yeah, so let's talk about like, can you walk us through what it's like when so you've been given this mandate, like build this tournament system and like you've kind of built this framework. Like, how do you, like, what does the first event look like? Like, how do you, did you start by building out like the like local level event and then building up, or did you guys have a plan for like, we're going to have our first tournament here in Toronto and you guys need to find a way to pyramid into that?
Yeah, so it was a really big adventure at the beginning, especially. But our program for Canada existed on 3 tiers. There was sort of 3 distinct layers. There was the local store layer, where we have in Canada, we have almost 400 WPN stores coast to coast. And we did a big call out to stores saying, hey, we need you to be a part of this program. It's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to help get competitive Magic sort of rebooted across the country. So that was the sort of base level. Let's go tell everyone, go play at your local store, earn your invite that way. The middle level was what we call our tour stops. And this is when we go for like a 1-day show, maybe a 2-day show in a community somewhere in Canada. We're looking at a main event of like 100, 150 people. Smaller communities, maybe as low as 50, for the main regional championship qualifier. We call them super qualifiers at that level. And then the top tier is those regional championship weekends where, okay, we've done a full season of qualifying. We now have a list of players that are all invited to come compete. Oh, pardon me. We have a list of players that are all qualified to go and compete, and we invite them out to one of the major urban centers, whether that's Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary, and we get everybody together to battle for that trophy. And so building that sort of tiered system, we had, because you need to qualify, you need four months of qualifying players before you actually need a regional championship. I had a bit of a warm up, you know what I mean? Like I got to connect with stores and learn about what they're up to and trying to give them a hand and learn from
Did you
their.
have like trouble getting buy-in from like the local stores if you're just coming in saying like, hey guys, Watty gave us a mandate, you want to work with us? Because like some of them might balk, right? Like, is it like complicated to try to get these people all on board?
Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge, especially as part of the mandate from Wizards was one of the things that was really important to them was making sure that we built a system that was financially sustainable. Because one of the pitfalls of a lot of the earlier systems that Wizards built out, or with their partners like Channel Fireball, who were doing all the Grand Prix for a while, is those systems really required a lot of financial input from Wizards to keep them afloat. And so they were really, really worried that if we weren't worried about our P&L and we weren't making sure that we had a healthy business model, that a year in, 12 months, 16, 18 months in, we'd be succumbing to them saying, oh, we can't do this anymore. We're losing too much money. And so that meant brutal. That I had to, and it meant that I had to charge money for these kits. My first version of it was like, oh, every store can get one for free. And Wizards was like, no, you can't do that. You got to make sure that you're not losing too much money. And I was like, okay. So there was definitely stores that were apprehensive about signing up. And there was, but there was a lot of excitement too. And so we actually did get a really solid buy-in from stores during the first round, which was really exciting to see. That was of all the rounds we've had now. We just finished, like just this past weekend was the wrap up of round 11 for anyone counting. And the best season for local store engagement is still way back in season 1, right? On my metrics. So there was definitely people enthusiastic about it early on, and getting. I'm very privileged. I'll say that
Right.
I have such a healthy relationship with so many of the larger store owners and managers across the country. And I think I definitely had to leverage that to say, hey, yeah, that, it might be, the big, people jokingly call us like the Walmart of magic in Canada and stuff like that. But it's still me, like, hey, I'm still one of
Yeah.
the owners. I'm just a guy,
Hey, dude,
and
personal relationships go a long way with retail, especially.
yeah, and business relationships for me, I've always taken the approach of, I don't see other stores as my competition. I've always just said, let's just build, instead of fighting over the pie, let's just bake a larger pie. Let's just get more people playing Magic. And if they come play at my store one Saturday and then they're at your store the next Saturday, then the chances they're going to come back to my store the Saturday after go up, and
Right.
and we can all build a healthier ecosystem of players that are excited about the game. And when players look at a schedule, if anyone's building a standard deck for the season or something, they'll say,
Mm.
well, there's 2 regional championship qualifiers that I can drive to. Like, I'm not going to put a deck together for 2 events. But
Mm.
when there's 8 or 12, and
Yeah.
they can hit something every weekend, they're like, oh, yeah, it actually makes sense to put a deck together. I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of this, and I'll get to
Mm.
learn the format and whatever. And so it's sort of one of those things where, wealth begets wealth. We grow together. So, I leveraged that to get stores interested and involved, and it really paid off. And
Mm.
so, yeah, I also will say that Canada has one of the densest Magic populations anywhere in the world.
I
The
mean, it feels like every random province I've been to has had just like a nucleus of Magic players somewhere.
Absolutely, and
Mm.
it shows up in Wizards numbers to the point where I was able to negotiate that we got a pretty healthy Pro Tour invite roster. When
Mm.
they said, okay, we have this many invites for the whole world. How are we going to divide it? And
Mm.
they use their data as well as my data to say, okay, Canada needs a pretty big slice of that global pie. And so
Yeah.
from like a population of the country perspective, you know, Canadians have the best program in the world in terms of your odds for actually qualifying for the Pro Tour or World Championship through the regional championship program. And so, just and like you say, there's a lot of, historically, there's a lot of very competitive players come out of
Yeah.
Canada,
There sure are.
and so I'm really excited to be carrying on that legacy. We just had our big regional championship for the past round, just this past weekend in Calgary.
Mm.
It was almost 380, 378 players, I think, after some drops. 378, which for a Western Canadian regional championships
Yeah.
is, almost 100 more than last time we were out west.
Yeah.
Really, really
Calgary's
cool
like
to
out
see.
in the middle of nowhere, man. It is very
The
flat.
reason, yeah, Calgary is literally in the middle of a giant field. The nice thing about it is a massive airport, and
Mm.
it's a big hub for all of Western
Yeah.
Canada. So getting flights basically from anywhere in Canada to Calgary are usually pretty affordable, and the hotels are pretty affordable too, which is nice. So that's why it's able to be such a healthy um, regional championship
Destination. Yeah.
destination. It's because everybody, there's plenty of locals. Edmonton is another million people. That's only a 3-hour drive. Calgary itself is a million, but it's a $89 flight from Edmonton or from Vancouver. It's a $150 flight from Toronto. So it's pretty doable. But
Mm.
we sold in, the flip side of the coin. Yeah, we had this massive regional championship. We sold almost 120 commander packages.
Well, because I
150
mean, like,
commander
if there's
packages.
an event in town, it's not just going to be like because all the local players who are playing, like, well, I'm not going to play in the tournament, but I want to go see the artist that's there, and while I'm there, I might as well jam some games, and then you get this whole extra kind of ecosystem, right? Like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. And supporting artists is something that is just super, super special to me personally. Being an old school player from the early 90s, it was the artwork that made me fall in love with this game in the first place. Like I'll never forget just like touching Magic cards for the first time and just looking at, like I remember just looking at Jeff Menge's art on War Mammoth and Grizzly Bears, like these old cards, like, whoa, like what is going on, and it just sort of lit something inside of me. And so, I've always, even our small, total unique players at the Calgary Regional Championships, for context, for the American listeners or global listeners, like 800 unique people in the building. You know what I mean? Not a massive event by any measure, big enough for us, but we had 7 artists at this show. And I've always, people say I'm old school, but if you're an artist coming to my event, I'm going to try to, I'm paying for your hotel, and I'm going to try to at least give you a couple $100 towards travel. I can't always do it, but the hotels for me is like, yeah, you're my guest, and you're all of our guests. We owe something to these artists for the heart 100%. And soul they've put into this game, and helping make their event possible. Helping grow their business is really meaningful to me. Because I think it just adds such a beautiful layer to the show, right?
And it's like, it feels so good. Like when you're at one of these shows and you see like somebody whose art you've seen like every day for 20 years or whatever, and you get to meet them and say like, dude, like I remember the first time I met Drew Tucker, of all people. Like when I was a kid, I didn't understand his art at all. I was like, this looks like garbage. What the hell is going on? And then as an adult, I'm like, this is insane. And the depth and the vitality of this artwork has like impacted me greatly over these past years. And being able to go and tell these people that, it makes them feel good, it makes you feel good, and then I get a cool signed Night Soil, and it's awesome.
Let me tell you a really beautiful story about the art. So I am, as I understand it, I don't have any base for comparison, but we are, one of the more generous tournament organizers in terms of putting up money to support these artists. And I discovered at the beginning of this year, at the beginning of 2025, there's 3 things that happened. Our good friends at Ultra Pro had a tragedy at their warehouse in Minnesota, or their factory in Minnesota, where they had to shut down production there. I'm not sure exactly what happened, honestly, but I know they had to close down that production facility. So their production capacity went way down, which meant they couldn't really make playmats and get them up to Canada in time for our events anymore. At the same time, all of the tariff nonsense got all heated up, and so getting things back and forth across the border all of a sudden got super hard. And I found out that when we would get access to an official Magic card artwork to put on a playmat, that there wasn't an additional royalty paid to that artist. The Wizards own that asset wholly, and they would just let us use it. And that didn't quite sit right with me, that the artist couldn't, see any of the upside of us printing their playmat for, $10 and then selling it for 30. That felt wrong to me. So I just decided at the beginning of 2025, hey, I've got a great local playmat printer here in Canada. They can't print official Magic artwork because they don't have the license, but I can just pay artists to make us cool artwork. And so I just started working together with basically any Canadian artist who wanted to be a part of the program, and said, hey, let's do a playmat together. And a lot of them are smaller, less known. But, and so I'm not paying them a ton of money, but I'm giving them something to celebrate their artwork. And I'm printing an extra 25 mats for them that they get to keep and then resell as an artist exclusive. And the beauty of this program, I did the math. I looked at how much revenue did I take in for playmats, and how much money did I pay out to artists, and in whether it was just cash for their art or hotel sponsorships or travel stipends. And it was basically dollar for dollar even. So Magic players give me money for playmats, and I turn around and I get to gift that to artists to make more Magic happen. And like, what a beautiful relationship, that it really gets to be that holistic. People don't buy a playmat because they need a giant mouse pad. They buy it because they want to celebrate the artwork, And so let's make more cool art.
The problem is we all end up with like 400 playmats.
Well, this is as you saw in my office earlier,
Yeah.
I've just tiled the wall with them.
You know
I
what? I'm
just
gonna
got them
start
all
like
pinned
I've
up
had
on
this
the wall.
blank space behind me. I'm going to start just layering on there.
I just
Uh,
got little bulldog clips, online, and little
mm,
finishing nails, and I just hung them up. And then I just switch out the one I use as a mouse pad every week or so. Like, oh, let's take this one down.
yeah,
Use
I've
it for
been
a bit.
using this Architect playmat that they gave me as a mouse pad for a long time, and but yeah, I love playmats, and I think like that's such a good revenue stream for artists just in general. And like I know because the artist Schmandrew did my logo for my other show, and he made a playmat of it, and we get to sell it, and it's great, and it feels really cool. It's neat signing something with your face on it, let me tell you. But that does bring up a question that I had that I've been meaning to ask, like because and this might be a little sensitive, and let me know if that's weird. Um, but one of the big things is that obviously for players, the cost has been going up a lot in terms of like being able to go to these events and enter. And I know some of the older grognards are like, "Oh man, it used to be $20 entry fee for a tournament. Now it's like $600 or like whatever." And I realize a lot of that is due to the cost of renting and the fact that economy is going all over the place. But how do you guys try to balance the need for your company to stay afloat with the fact that like, Magic players can only afford so much?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a really important aspect of it, and it's a really sort of like meaty issue to tackle
Yeah.
because you're absolutely right that like the extraction side of the game feels predatory at times, and it's not fun. There's a financial side to everything, obviously, but one of the things that I've really felt is that playing Magic should be accessible to everybody. And so I am I'll sort of preface this by saying that I'm very privileged in that my business, specifically the event side of face to face games, is one piece of the larger pie
Mm,
in our business. And not every tournament organizer has that privilege where they can sort of lean on the single side of the business or can see that growth there, right? If I do a great job hosting events and we have a ton of people join and all these people come out, they all buy and they sell and they trade with us and they do all the business things that actually pay the bills. My goal in the events department isn't to make money, it's to break even, hopefully, so that
mm,
all the rest of the business can be successful. And so I'll sort of acknowledge that privilege that not every organizer is able to do that. Um, but what it does mean is that I get to focus. I get the privilege of focusing on the fun side of things, right? And so I get to make sure that we're doing things that feel fair in terms of you pay this much entry and you get these prizes and things like that.
mm.
And while there is sort of like, how do I say? Well, there is an element of, yeah, we need to make money. I think the health long term of the game, making sure that players feel like there's a place for them to gather. There's, there's a
Mhm.
point to all these cards they keep buying, and they can see the bigger picture. It adds a legitimacy to the whole program. And
Mm.
we are really lucky um, that in addition to the regional championship program, we've also got this really healthy commander community. And I've always taken the approach of, in Canada, our command zone is free to enter. There's no,
Mm.
you can buy the commander package, but you don't need it to come hang out and play in the command zone. You can just sit down and hang out. There's nothing forcing you to buy a ticket. However, if you do buy the package, I try to make sure that it's a good deal. So you actually want to buy the package, right?
Mm.
It's $65, $75, but you get $90 worth of stuff. So why wouldn't
Sure.
you buy it? And just building it in such a way where, yeah, you get some promo cards and you get some prize tickets to use at the prize wall, and it fits into the larger ecosystem where it's something people want to do rather than feeling like it's something they have to do.
Mm.
And uh, the biggest challenge lately has been the competitive side of things,
Yeah.
because the competitive side of things there isn't the fun element that there is in Commander. A lot of the competitive players. Well, I mean,
No, you're
what I
right
mean.
though.
what I mean by that is that a lot of competitive players are hoping to be successful, right? They're hoping
Right.
to get more out of it than they put in, which is a noble goal. And I truly wish
Sure.
all competitive players the best. But if it's plus EV for everybody, then that's got to come from somewhere, you know?
Right. Someone has to
Um,
lose if you're going to win. And
yeah.
like that's, I guess that was the second question I wanted to ask you, which is, it's like, for to open up a space for commander players or whatever is easy because we're always going to have our decks and the commander is always going to be a thing. But when you're trying to build a tournament system and you're trying to like, and Wizards is like coming to you like, hey, we want to give you Pro Tour invites, we want you to build a whole infrastructure. What do you do when the actual format sucks, right? Like, or like, when the players just don't have the juice for wanting to do this. I mean, yeah, obviously now that VV's been banned, now that, Corey Seal Cutter, whatever, all these, I mean, yes, Wizards is taking steps, but I cannot imagine how frustrating it must be to be a tournament operator when nobody wants to come play in the tournaments.
I'll be honest, this, and everybody knows it. The team at Wizards was actually really good about sort of taking some ownership and saying, hey, yeah, there's some mistakes here and we need to fix them. The place where I've felt really sort of crummy over this last couple of months, because the way the system works for the regional championship qualifiers, for those who don't know, is there is always a prescribed format that the season of regional championship qualifiers must be run as that specific constructed format.
So like Wizards comes to you and says, in August, you're going to do the modern event or whatever.
Exactly. So the last season was from August of 2025 through mid-November, right? And they said that all regional championship qualifiers around the world during that standard season, so they have to be standard or sealed deck, right? There's always the sealed deck option. Now, before that, it was modern season, and so there's these seasons, and they did that specifically so that people can know, okay, I can get a deck together, and then all the RCQs I can take that same deck to and play. It's a great idea, but it does create this situation where the stores, I'm talking to these stores, in July saying, hey, next round, you're going to want to run an RCQ, book it now. And in July, standard was okay, and so they say, okay, I'll sign up to run an RCQ, and they buy the kit and it gets shipped to them. And then they go to run it in mid-October. And well, at this point, nobody's enjoying Spider-Man sealed, so they can't really change the format to sealed. Nobody's enjoying standard, so they're just sort of like, well, what do I do? And we had some really rough numbers where a lot of the stores that we just convinced to, hey, come back and try the program, give it a shot again. You did one years ago, or maybe you've never done one. And then they had 4 people show up, and they couldn't even run the tournament. And so it's sort of like, I felt responsible for these poor stores that have gone out on a limb. I've sort of given them this sort of opportunity. I say, hey, it's going to be great. Try it out. And they try it out and it fall flat on their face. And so, that was really tough. The way I've sort of, try to sort of support these stores and just stores in general. Canada is such a dramatically huge place, and there's these stores that are like 100 kilometers from anything, and so, stores in downtown Toronto or Vancouver, there's people all over the place and they can run an RCQ no problem. But these smaller stores, I actually built a grant program where any store around the country, whether they're a rural small store or even just a big, someone from a bigger city that maybe hasn't tried the program, they can apply and just say, hey, I want to give me a free kit. I want to try it out. And so we've got this mechanism to at least give them one pro bono, and say, hey, yeah, maybe there was only 4 people who showed up because no one was having fun with Spider-Man sealed, but your next one's on me, let's try again, refund you this one. I'll give you another one for free, just so we don't lose them. Right. Because the more stores that are hosting, the healthier it is for everybody. And there really does need to be that sort of critical mass for the snowball to keep rolling. So
Yeah, because like I'm sure like in Victoria or in Vancouver or whatever, yeah, like they'll just run another RCQ NBD. Well, what do you do when you're out in like Whitehorse in the Yukon or something, right? Like there's
yeah.
like 12 Magic players that want to play, but
Well, even communities like the city of Saskatoon is a great example. So for those who think Saskatoon, Saskatchewan is a made up place, no, there really is a place called Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. It's a town, it's a city of like 250, 300,000 people. So it's not tiny, but there's two local game stores. That's it.
it's
And
like the Nebraska of Canada, man. It's like
absolutely. Yeah. It's absolutely yeah, like similar sort of demographics as Montana or whatever. There's
yeah.
just not a lot of people around, and it is what it is. But the stores that are there do a great job, and we're really lucky that in Saskatoon specifically, there's cool stores that but we've always, even since the early days, I always like, we'll send you 2 kits, like you buy one and I'll send you 2 so you can run 2 events,
Hmm.
and just little things like that, just building those relationships goes so far.
Yeah, I mean you have to because like you because your business model depends on them buying in and God, so do you guys ever go back to Wizard and say like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, you're killing yourselves here." I mean, I'm sure Wizard doesn't need to hear from you to know that. They probably can tell. But
I usually leave that up to the players. I try I try to play nice,
yeah, I guess
and
that's not a fair question for you. I'm sorry.
yeah, well, Wizards they're honestly a fantastic partner, and as much as
Yeah, I mean,
myself and
I'm a good
other Magic
relationship with them
players,
too.
we love grumbling about it, but let me tell you, as someone who spent last winter trying to build out competitive tournaments for Lorcana and One Piece and Star Wars Unlimited, these
Oh
other
yeah,
games
gosh.
that had a lot of promise and were really exciting, but they just don't have, and honestly, like I love all of our sales reps and the organized play supervisors at those games. They're trying their best, but they just don't have the engine of Hasbro behind them. And so they just don't have the same offerings.
Right.
Like we might complain about crummy promo cards for a season, but at least there is a promo card, and at least every once in a while they give us an Aerith, like this past weekend, people came out to Calgary. They spent $70 to participate in the RC and they got a $250, $300 promo card for playing. Like, hell yeah. Pardon me.
I really
Fantastic.
wanted one of those.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Dude, yeah, Final Fantasy set just hit it for me on multiple targets. But yeah, like I mean, that's the other thing. You aren't just in charge of putting on an event for Magic. Like I know like SEG, the spotlight events also have Riftbound and Fab and whatever other games there are. And like I've been to like non-Magic Con events where it's like you see like the Magic part is big and then there's like a small little contingent of people playing, and it reminds me of when I was a kid and people would be playing like L5R in the corner while we are playing Magic, or they're playing Jihad or Werewolf or whatever it is. And like especially now that like I mean it feels weird because there's been a whole resurgence of card games lately with Fab, Lorcana, Riftbound, whatever, and these cards pop and then poof. How do you manage, like you're still supporting them, they're on your thing. How do you deal with these multiple like vectors you have to deal with, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love trading card games. Let me start that. I love all trading card games.
You'd be in the wrong business if you didn't.
Right. Yeah. I mean, exactly. But I have a really hard time getting excited about anything long-term potential that doesn't say Magic the Gathering or Pokemon on the package. Yu-Gi-Oh!
That's fair.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Somehow is still going. I don't get it.
I do not understand. Like my son got into Yu-Gi-Oh! For a minute and he was like, "Papa, let's play these games." And I look and I'm like, "What the hell is going on with this goddamn card?" Even Pokemon, the card game is not good, but enough kids like Pokemon that they will deal with it. But like
and
other
Pokemon's
games,
at least a playable game and
right?
competitive.
Sure.
Like me and my 6-year-old go down and to our local shop here in Winnipeg and play because she can play. Like she can. It's a functioning game and the rules make sense and it's easy to learn. Not all of these games can say that, like Riftbound had 22 erratas on day one.
Dude, I was
Like,
a day of recording. I
painful.
was watching my friends over at Loading Ready Run. They were playing some Riftbound games, and there were rules that existed that were not written on the cards of the first tier. And it's like if you don't, it's like they called them hidden rules. I'm like, you can't have hidden rules, not on the literal first day of the game. But
yeah, it's tough. It's
yeah,
you know, shout out to Riftbound. Good for them for trying something new and pushing their product out
hey
and
man,
not
best
getting
of luck.
bogged down. And yeah, and you know, you can polish it forever and then launch 3 years late, or sometimes you just go to market and get it out there for people to enjoy. So good for them for trying, but man, the graveyard of fallen games that have come and gone over the years. Remember
I
Raw
was big into
Deal?
Magi Nation for a long time. Do you remember that game?
No, I don't
Oh
remember
man,
Magi Nation. We
Magi
did
Nation. Hmm? Go.
we did Marvel Dice Masters. Remember Dice Masters?
Yes, I remember Dice Masters.
Oh,
Oh my
good
god! And
times,
then
good
like,
times.
yeah, no, I've got like boxes of just ancient dead CCGs, going back to the dawn of time.
They make
But
great tokens.
you know what? I've used Pokemon Energy as lands before. I've used SimCity things as basic lands before from the SimCity card game 1,000 years ago. Yeah, dude, I've been there. I have been
Uh,
around the block, and that's why people are like, "Oh man, are you going to get into XYZ game?" And I'm like, "No, I am old. I've been
yeah.
here before. I have room for
You
one
know,
game."
that's right. I'm at that point in my life where I'm like, you know that line about not teaching old dogs new tricks? Like,
Yeah,
I'm over 40. I have back pain now. I
yeah,
don't have
dog.
time to learn
I
new
don't have
games.
time. All right, so
Uh,
as we kind of wind down, so give me the pitch. Why should Americans come up to your tournament, or not even Americans? I mean, my listenership is international. Tell me why Brazilians should fly up to come to the
yeah.
spotlight. That's a
So
weird thought, but yeah.
the big pitch, and this is what I'm really, excited about, is Magic Spotlight Eclipsed is happening February 6, 7, 8 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. This is Canada's first spotlight ever. Okay. It's the first time we've gotten sealed deck as the main format with a Magic IP set. We're going back to Lorwyn.
Oh,
It's
I'm
been
so hyped.
15 years. I'm so hyped.
So
It's
excited.
so cool, man. And it's sealed deck. So literally everybody can participate in this event. We can celebrate something that's truly magic and feels really earnestly like back to our roots.
Right.
And the show is going to be 3 days of fun. Canada in winter sounds scary to people who are not familiar with it, but it's also Toronto is one of the mildest of Canadian winters, and it's also the cheapest time to travel to Canada. Flights and hotels ain't that bad.
Yeah, and Toronto is one of my favorite cities, man. Such a good food city.
Toronto is a phenomenal city. I live in Winnipeg again now, but I spent 15 years in Toronto. I started my business there. I started
I
my
have family in
there.
Scarborough, so
There you go.
I've been out there. It's been a while since I've been to Toronto. I want to go back. It would be so much fun.
Well, dude, you should come in February. Let's make it happen. The very, very cool thing that I'm excited about with this event is getting a massive tournament to launch. So we haven't had a tournament with more than 500 people on Canadian soil since before the pandemic.
That's crazy.
Right? And as of today, there are 596 people pre-registered for the Spotlight. So the Spotlight will be the biggest event in Canada since before the pandemic, and maybe ever. The largest Spotlight ever in North America was 1,400 and something. We're aiming for 1,500 to 1,800, and we put on.
So sick.
It'll be so fun. It'll be so fun. And if you don't, even if you don't want to actually play the sealed deck, I always tell people just sign up anyway. Have a look at your pool. Maybe it's a winner. If not, you get your promo. It's cool. We just announced today.
Right?
Vendilion Click is going to be the Spotlight promo.
Right.
It just
like
announced
the textless Vendilion Click.
It's so beautiful. Go
Oh,
look it
man.
up if you haven't, folks. It's gorgeous. They just previewed it earlier today. I've been keeping this under my lid for like weeks, and I'm like, it's so gorgeous.
Yeah, dude. I want to see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really excited for that. I think it's gonna be super cool.
So everyone can play. It's going to be a massive event. There's going to be tons of other fun stuff, Commander and Sealed Deck. We always do, like, we do some crazy stuff. You know, my goal with these large events is you should be able to do everything that you wished you could do at your local game store, but there just isn't the critical mass, right? So we do a collector chaos sealed, where you just get 6 different collector boosters and build a sealed deck out of that. And it's always bananas. It's always tons of fun. Somebody's cracking a serialized whatever, and you've got 9 rares in your deck. It's so crazy. Yeah, it's so nuts. We're doing a history of Lorwyn sealed, where we're getting 1 pack of Lorwyn, 1 pack of Morningtide, 1 pack of Shadowmoor, 1 pack of Eventide, and 2 packs of Lorwyn Eclipse. And you're going to build a sealed deck out of that. It's like, you would never get to do this.
Deck.
It's going to be wild. Yeah, it's going to be wild. But when was the last time most Magic players playing today ever opened a booster pack of original Lorwyn, right? I mean, most people just have never done it. I've never done it. I literally have never opened a pack of Lorwyn in my life, because I took a hiatus and I came back at Shards of Alara. So I just missed Lorwyn, and for some reason I never opened old packs.
I bought like half a box of Italian Shadowmoor once, because I was looking for cards for my Apatra -1/-1 counters deck. So I've opened a lot of Shadowmoor and Lorwyn and stuff. But dude, when you crack open a Lorwyn or like a pack and you see like Heritage Druid, it's like, oh, that's so good. I don't know. I want to. Damn it. Dude, it's my birthday weekend the weekend before. You can't make me fly out to friggin' Canada.
I sure can. Get your stuff together. Let's go. We'll talk about it off air. But yeah, I would love to have you there.
But that sounds sick, though.
We've built a really, really fun network of content creators that are coming out to the show. So some of your favorite personalities are going to be there. We're just finalizing. Like, we've got some folks up on the website now. We're just working on the rest. But there's going to be amazing artists.
She's amazing.
Yeah, Steph's the best. Yeah, so Steph from Steel City is helping me get a whole crew built out, and we've got McKenna, who goes Creative Kitty. She just won the grand championship for cosplay in Atlanta again. This girl's amazing. She's doing our whole welcome desk. She's going to design a bunch of props. So we're going to have some really fun photo booth areas and stuff like that. It's really going to be a celebration of Magic. The other fun thing is that the venue is about a 5-minute walk from Medieval Times. So we can party all night, Medieval Times is like going to the football game for nerds, it's like, it's so fun. So yeah, it's going to be a great show. It's going to be a ton of fun. I really want, the message I want to send to everybody is like, whether you're coming to my spotlight or you're going to your local game store or a spotlight or a Magic event near you, show up and be a part of it, because Wizards, I think, is really needing to see that we want more Magic events. They're really wanting to see, is this program working? Like, yeah, it is working. There's a lot of beautiful things happening in Magic. There's a lot of amazing people doing fantastic stuff. So go out, support your local game store, support your local tournament organizer, just play more Magic, and show Wizards that all this energy they're putting into it is paying off, and you want more, right? Because if we don't show up, they're going to do less, right? And so if we're pushing the numbers and things are sold out, and like, wow, okay, we need more support for competitive Magic, more support for casual, more support for all of it. So go be a part of it, and don't give up. Don't. I've seen a lot of people say like, like Spider-Man's not really my thing. Maybe I'll just quit Magic. Like, no, Lorwyn's going to be beautiful. There's going to be so much beautiful stuff. Yeah, there's some goofy stuff going on and whatever. Like, if it's not for you, skip it. But continue. This is the best game ever made, and you will never find anything else like it. And if you walk away because of one bummer set, you're going to miss so much cool stuff.
The thing I've been telling people is like, look, man, if this set's not doing it for you, wait like 4 days and the next set will be out. You'll be
exactly.
fine.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, look, this fire hose of product that's coming out has lots of negatives. I've talked about them a lot, but the other upside is if you don't like it, in the old days, if we didn't like a set, we were stuck for like months. And it would just like.
Do you remember the days where the fall set would be like the third weekend of September, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we wouldn't get another set until February.
Like February. Yeah.
And if that was a stinker draft format or just like not your jam, like too bad. Get used to it. Like,
and I know, because like the pre-release weekend would always be either my birthday weekend or the weekend after, and it's like sometimes it's Journey into Nyx, and you're like, well, I guess we're just here now, and this sucks. Or Born of the Gods.
I remember Scars of Mirrodin was the fall set, right? That came out in September. And Scars, I love Scars of Mirrodin now, but like after draft, this was a phase in my life where I was working construction, I was moonlighting at the game store, and I was drafting like 3 or 4 nights a week, and I was just so sick of like, do I have the Metalcraft deck? Do I have the Infect deck? Like I was so tired of it. Finally, Mirrodin Besiege came along. We're like, oh, thank goodness we get 1 pack, because back then we would then draft 1 pack of Mirrodin Besiege with 2 packs of Scars. So you're only seeing like 15 new cards in your draft. And even that was like, oh, what a breath of fresh air. So yeah, if you don't like it, just wait a little while, or go draft something that you didn't get enough of. Grab a box of Final Fantasy with your buddies and crack that.
Well,
like there's
good
so
luck
much
finding
good.
a box of Final Fantasy. But that being said, though, I am 100% of the opinion that everybody should try to go to events when possible. And the thing I like about the Spotlight events is because Magic Cons have become ridiculously unaffordable. And if, like, real talk and fully putting all my cards on the table, if Wizards of the Coast was not sponsoring me to go to these events, I would not be able to go to Magic Cons. They're just out of my price range. But like the Spotlight series and like all these other smaller events that you guys at Face to Face are doing, that Laughing Dragon, that Star City, that all these other companies are putting on, those are things that the rest of us can actually afford to go to, and they're huge and they're so much fun. And the experience delta between what a MagicCon is and what a GP used to be versus what a MagicCon is and what these new Spotlights are is way smaller. It's like it feels a lot like a MagicCon does, just in miniature, and you're like still getting that same just jolt of energy of being with people, and it feels so good, man. It really, really does.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't need a ton of people to have a great time.
No.
You need a handful of solid people, and look around, whether it's people you met at your local game store pre-release or people you met at a Magic Con. There are going to be, and every Magic player can do this. They can look around at their life and they can say, wow, there's some really fantastic people that came into my life because of this game. And that, like I've seen Magic players who are best men at each other's weddings and stuff like that, because they got to know each other playing Magic. And I've always said the beautiful thing about this game is how it just, everything else fades away. You've got a lawyer playing against, a kid in 8th grade. You've got a grandpa playing against this, a girl who just joined the game last month. Like there's all kinds of folks getting to know each other, and we can have this universal handshake where we just play cards together. It's truly outstanding.
Amen to that, man. This has been a great conversation, dude. Thank you so much. It's been really, really a pleasure. I love getting these behind the scenes kind of views. It's super fun for me. But yeah, if folks wanted to find you, they should probably just go to like the Spotlight event and say hello. But
yeah, if they want to find me online or follow what Face to Face Games is cooking, you can, I'm at MTG Kelly on most socials. FaceToFaceGames.com is our website. You can find links to everything we're doing there. And yeah, whether it's the Spotlight or some other trip to Canada, regional championships out west in Vancouver in February, or anything else, I love meeting folks who come from all walks of life. So come on out, be a part of the show. You can usually find me at the prize wall. That's like where I set up my home base at these shows. I love being at the prize wall because I get to like play Santa, you know? I get to sort of, you know, like everyone just gets to cash in their prize tickets and I get to like shake their hand. Usually that's people's last stop out the weekend, you know? I get to say thanks so much for coming. So yeah, come out, find me, get to know what we do up here in Canada. And, you know, again, check out your local shop and your local organizer too, because it's all a ton of fun.
Awesome. Yeah. And folks, remember, support your local game stores. It is worth it. And it helps build the entire ecosystem that allows all of this stuff to happen. And we need events because Magic without people is not a game. It's boring. We need people. Yeah. We need events. We need to be able to see. I mean, it's in your freaking company's name, face to face. That's the whole point. But anyways, as always, my friends, you can find me at Shivam Bhatt on Blue Sky, or you can find this podcast on our podcast result or at YouTube every Tuesday. Thanks to my editor, Dan. You can also hear me on Shivam and Wheel of Love Magic or the Chronicles of Dragonlance. And remember, my friends, it's not magic without the gathering, and we'll see you next time.